Hello you guys, here's Patrick from Let's Make Technology. In today's episode I would like to talk a little bit about the topic that is very hard for software engineers that transitioned to being managers. It's topic related to hiring people and why bad decisions in hiring might influence your team or even the whole company at some point in a bad way. First of all, I will focus on things that I consider in terms of decision making for the new candidate, but you need to note that the order is very important. So I will start from those things that eventually in the end decision making process are not so important for me, and those that will be at the very end are the most important for me. I suspect you will be surprised by that order, that's the one thing, but after that I will tell you a little bit in details about why I have such an order. So as always, let's start with the first one, which is experience. And in this case, it doesn't only mean experience in terms of years, because sometimes it may not tell you anything. For instance, you can be looking for senior software engineer. You will find candidate with, let's say, 20 years of experience. But unfortunately, this candidate was working only with one company over that time or changed work only twice, didn't have a lot of in common with new technologies, and because of that, his experience doesn't align with your needs. But if it fits, definitely experience is something important. So I always take that into the consideration as a first step, and also it gives me informations and some possibilities in terms of inviting people to the second stage of the interview. Second thing that is more important to me, it's technical knowledge. And you may say at that point that, what is the difference between technical knowledge and experience? So when it comes to technical knowledge, it's more in depth. I try to figure out what is the knowledge of candidate in terms of his foundation, how does he understands all of the concept he was working with over his career. I try to figure out where he is in terms of those things and how it aligns with our needs, and basically understand how much of those high-level concepts are being known very well by the candidate. So it's just basically deep dive into the technical knowledge of the person to know a little bit more, besides only that candidate worked on some projects, was familiar with some technologies but actually wasn't even working with them, but this is just something that he knows from the theory rather than from practice, and other things like that, right? The third very important thing, and definitely more important than experience and technical knowledge, is attitude. So when I speak with the candidate, I do everything to try to figure out how does this candidate approach any kind of thing regarding work. Is he looking for help? Is he willing to work on his own? Is that person creative? So those different kind of bits and pieces that tells you that, for instance, this senior software engineer will be really an independent player, but still willing to work with the teammates, seeking for help, not ego-driven, because I try not to hire people with high ego. I don't believe that high ego is the most important thing, especially when working with the teams. So attitude is very important for me. And the fourth thing is cultural fit. It's always very important thing for every new hire, especially since those different companies has different culture, and when you hire someone who doesn't fit that culture, have different set of values, and will not be willing to change their way of working or their way of thinking and cooperating, this might not work, and this might be very influential, because at some point even team members can get mad, and this might lead to very different scenarios, even with someone quitting a job because of some new hire that is not the best fit. Okay, so now we've got those four things that I try to identify when it comes to this decision making. And now let me tell you a little bit about why this order and why, for me, cultural fit is much more important than experience and technical knowledge. Let's imagine a situation that you've got two candidates that you consider for hiring to your company or to your team. And the first candidate is extremely knowledgeable, like top talent on the market, but when it comes to his attitude and his way of working, he's just basically a jerk. So not very pleasant guy. Most possibly you wouldn't like to work with him. The second candidate is also a senior. His experience doesn't align so much with your needs, but still majority of experience is a fit. Technical knowledge is decent, but when it comes to culture, you definitely feel that this person works better. You feel that there is some chemistry, everything works, communication is good. So the main difference between those candidates is second one is a little bit less aligning with your experience, but the first one, there is no chemistry. You basically know that there is something wrong. What would you choose? Of course, tell me in the comment section. What would be your decision? Because when it comes to my decision, I would go with the second candidate. And for me, it's no brainer. So when one of the candidates lacks a little bit of knowledge, maybe some experience, he can learn that. We will give him couple of tasks to work on, team members will help him or her, and this will align very quickly. But when it comes to behavior and some believings, it's very difficult to change that. I would say that it might be completely impossible at some point. This would be the best decision. Basically, hire someone with better attitude and better cultural fit and some experience lacking, but still having your current team members very happy with this new guy who is helpful, who seeks for help, who basically wants to resolve problems together rather than being this alone, sitting somewhere and doing own things guy who is extremely knowledgeable but still doesn't align with the needs of the team, maybe doesn't align with the needs of the business, and eventually making everyone unhappy. It's very crucial to have good attitude and good cultural fit. And I hope that those things that I told you today will help you in the future make final decision, because that's the end of the material. Let's choose wisely when you will be hiring new people. Choose those who will make your teams better and definitely not make your teams miserable. And we see each other in the next material. See ya!